Welcome back, friend. This one, today, we're talking about 3 co-equal branches of development. Nice, strict head, hands, hearing thing. Now you can turn this into sheer technique. You can turn this into focusing on your head, or you could turn it into leaning towards your ear and how this works. But it's just the 3 things all put together. Makes it much more fun to practice a technique when you got some kind of purpose to get some other byproduct out of it, you know, like a knowledge of notes or harmony or theory or something. So this is the triplet pull-off lick. It's one of the forms of a triplet pull-off lick. And it doesn't matter your level. If you're a complete beginner, you can start doing this. If you're already a shredder, then you already can do it, and you can turn the video off now because you're going to leave when you see what I'm doing. But if you're an intermediate, or if you just want to try this and see how this aspect works about tying these 3 branches together, what we're going to play technically is a Phrygian scale, which is the E, the F, the G, the A, the B, the C, the D, and the E, and you can get back up and go further if you want, the E and the F. Yeah. That's the sound of it. So all we're going to do is we're going to start with tapping our foot and taking our pick, placing it on the E string and striking down. Then you're going to put both movements in, the down and the up. So coffee, coffee, tea, coffee, tea. And that's what you're concerned about right now, is just getting a nice, gentle picking motion. Now, whatever level you're at, you can do this nice and slow and just do a down, up, nice and even like that. And what you want to turn it into is a triplet feel. And rather than play 3 notes, you're just going to think 3 notes. If you think of any word that's 3 syllables, like lemonade, lemonade, or elephant, elephant, or a name that's 3 syllables, or whatever it is, you're going to strike on the first syllable down, and then you're going to delay it until the last syllable up. So you get lemonade, lemonade. And that's the breakdown of it. But the truth is, if you just think ba da 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 da, like egg rolling down a hill, you'll get it without sort of counting or parsing up words to get syllables and all that. You just want to think sort of long, short, long, short, long. Now you start slow if you're just beginning, and you want to try to tap your foot. Whoops, sorry. Yeah, so that you can get the pick and your foot all going down at the same time. Both going down at the same time. And if you can get it, practice that to the point where you get something reasonable, gentle speed like that. Nice and steady. And that's step 1. Getting a triplet shuffle type picking motion with your foot tapping with your pick. Foot goes down, pick goes down, foot comes up, pick comes up, and you're hitting the string each direction. Now the next step, I'd suggest your middle finger. It's your longest finger, it's your strongest finger. And then when you start to add another finger, you've got one on either side that wants to participate. I'd suggest the 7th fret of your guitar, which is a nice sort of middle sort of position to be in. And what you're going to do is get this going again, and you're just going to stab your finger. Just stab it onto the 7th fret. I'm going to use my middle finger. Let's see what this camera's looking like. And that's all you're trying to do. And you might do that for quite a while, you know. You know, like days where you just pick up your guitar every now and again when the eggs are cooking or the kettle's boiling or the bath is filling, and you just kind of go, say down, up, down, up, down, up, down. So when the pick comes up, your finger comes up. When the pick and your foot are going down, the finger goes down. So now all 3 of these things are going down, up, down, up, in that same sort of lilt that you had before. Lemonade, da, da. And you just want to do that in, you know, a few minutes at a time, a few seconds at a time, half a minute, whatever. And eventually you'll get to the point where you're happily stabbing away a little faster. We're going to do the next step in a minute, but whether you do that next step or not, you want to get to the point where over the days going by when you got, you know, the waiting for the phone call or the package, or waiting for the taxi, or whatever you got to do, and you got void time that you just pick up your guitar for, you know, a couple of minutes and try and do this. You want to get to the point where you're comfortable sort of going, you know, giving it a bit of welly and a bit of steady. You know, you don't want to have any funny things happen with your hand. You just kind of like resting your thumb. Just nice, gentle, and getting relaxed about this movement of your everything moving down at the same time and up at the same time. Now, the next bit, I'm going to slow it down mechanically so you can see what's happening. You're going to pick. Now, I tend to let my knuckle hit the side of the neck, and then I just twist my hand. You're just trying to pluck that string with your finger, like that. So you're going to go down, pluck. That's what you got to do first. And like I said, if you're a beginner and you can get a note, then you should be able to just take that finger with a little downward pressure and, you know, sort of almost a twisting motion. You're just plucking the string, just like you would if you plucked it with any other finger, you know. But you're going to do it with this finger, and you just practice doing that movement. Now you're going to put it together with this movement, and then don't forget to go up, and then set it up and do it again. And it can be a sandwich in between notes. You're just making a decision about each thing that you do. You're going to put your finger down, your foot's in the air, you tap, and you hit them both things down, all with your foot, and pull off. Now, the upstroke gives you the lemonade or the elephant or whatever, you know. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And that's all you're trying to do. Now, the next step is, let's see another video about this idea. For it works with strumming, it works with picking, it works with a lot of things. It's called the lawnmower effect. You want to just get to the point where you can maybe get one good fast one. You try and do mistakes and all. You just pick, pluck, hit. You know, you just try messing with that. Then go back to the meticulous, real slow repetition. And then you try up. And then maybe you go back to an in-between of both of those two things, where you get this going sort of a little faster with your finger hovering, and then stab it. And then as you're going along like that, you focus on your mind on that one pull-up. Get back into it. Then pull it off. Set it up. And keep your hand going. Now see if you can do 2 in a row. And just keep... Notice I did some downs there without the ups. It doesn't matter. You're just taking all the components and you're like making a triangle. You know, if you can't do the whole thing fast, you take one part of the triangle away. Either, you know, the triangle being the components of difficulty. So if it's too difficult, slow it all down and just do those two things. If you're going fast, try and get it with just this one motion and then this second motion, and then repeating that second motion, and then with the occasional third motion. Try and go back like that. Get one good pull off, get back. Anyone who's seen any of the points of change videos and stuff, that's the point of change here. Up pick and trying to land that next note. So maybe you just do a bunch of those and in between keep whacking away with this finger. See, I'm trying to build it. Everyone's different. So I'm trying to build it in as many which ways as I can, because your physiology, your mindset, your way your body operates and all its mechanics might find one way better than the other. But you just try to find a way of putting these things together. And it can be just the whole motion, all the motions put together slowly. and then stop and try a little faster over a period of days. But eventually what you'll get is some reasonable speed, and then you've got it. That's it. That's all it is. Now, you've used a lot of mental energy to sort of work this all out. But now what you really want to do is this, the Phrygian idea. You want to learn the notes on the high E string, because, excuse me, I've got a runaway footstool here. Because it is the Phrygian scale. You got 5 modes of natural notes on the strings, you know. Each string will make its own scale if you play all the natural notes. So we got an E string. Which camera is that going to be? The E string, then the note F, which is always right next to E, then the G. You got to skip, everything skips except for E and F and B and C. So you see, one of the other videos will be more in depth of that. But E and F are next to each other. Then you got a G, and then an A, and then a B, it's the note we've been ticking away with, and then B and C are next to each other. That's the idea. E's and F's and B's and C's are next to each other. So that's really what you're doing. And you're just thinking about these notes, E to F, to G, to A, to B, to C, to D, to E. And then there's an F right next to it there. And all you want to do now is you want to start, and you know, like if you're on your own, say them as much as you can, because that's connecting yet another sort of neural network of recognition. So you're thinking the E, the E, the E, we know. If you want to start where you are and think that's a B, the B, the B and the A. I'm using my second finger, and I could have just moved my hand, my arm. Or I could have done this, which is to me logical, another finger. The A and the B and the C. C and the B and the A. I'm just making it up now, and the old which one do I hit whenever I want to hit it, and I'm just doing A, B, and C. Now I'm sort of implying the A natural minor, scale. But if you keep using the whole fretboard, you'll end up with this E, F, G thing. But the whole time you're doing it, you want to be thinking the E and the F and the G and the A and the B and the A, B, C, B and the C and the D, the C, the D, the E and the F and the E and the C, D, E, F, E, D, C, B. It's hard to spit them out when you're saying it fast. But that's all you're doing is you're learning the notes. Even if you're humming away on one note for a while, the A. Muting's good because you hear the percussion of it. I chose this guitar because it's just a normal student classical guitar with pretty high, normal factory action, normal strings. And there's nothing stopping you from building that up. When you can't turn it off by muting it. I'm really pushing down on this, trying to mute it. Anyway, it sounds kind of flashy when you're doing it on an acoustic guitar because it sounds quite quick. But it's combining the technique that this will use in other places, this technique, a lot of ways. It's combining the idea that when you start to do this and you hear something that doesn't fit the pattern, your brain will go, what's that? And that's an organic form of ear training. You broke out of the pattern by mistake and you hear it instantly, right? Now, you could rearrange that pattern. What did I hit? That note. You could hit that C sharp and make it fit so it sounds like it's supposed to be there, and make this C natural be the one that sounds out. You know what I mean? It sounds like the honker, the clam. But we've established this pattern. So anything that's not in that will stick out like a sore thumb. So you got your technical training happening. You got your ear kicking in. If you're using your voice, you're sending this again, I don't know any good word for it except for this neural network frontal lobe speech message, to come out to operate all your jaw and your tongue and your lungs to say stuff. And you've got this recognition of the notes that you're absorbing at the same time. So all this stuff is kicking in, and all these things will transfer, So That's all it is. You can take as long as you want to do it. You know, people, you know, build licks up for years, you know, but you're just starting with a simple down and up, moving together with that lilting triplet feel, a stab, that's all you start with. Eventually you can get me a little faster and then try the, you know, eventually pull off, just one will do. Once you feel it, you'll get addicted. You'll be going, oh. And when you do it in void time, in trap time, like you've only got 10 minutes before the bus comes and you got to get out to the, you know, whatever. When you realize it seems like you made a mistake by, you know, by accident. Oh. And then, I got to go. Someone's at the door, whatever. Your brain's going, oh man, we were getting that, you know. I'm not done. And so you want to come back and try it again, you know. So don't try to sit down for 12 hours and do it all at once, you know what I mean? When you're sleeping, that's when these little neural pathways get built a lot of times. It happens after you practice. These things sort of like, it's like you put down some cement and then it dries and hardens up. And then you come back and it's like, oh, I can walk on it now, you know? So that's the idea. You can apply this to loads of stuff. It goes across strings. You can use, you know, it does different types of licks. You can do it across strings. And it makes for, you know, I'm not a fast player, so some of these little tricks are, you know, they're tricks, they're party tricks, I admit it, but it's a good trick, you know, just like some of the other things I'll say that about. But that's it. It's one of the triplet pull-off natural note exercises to try to develop your head, your hands, your hearing with this particular technique and have a bit of fun while you're learning the note names, you know. Okay, I hope that is of some use to you. And I'll catch you next time. Have a great day.